Hello all, and welcome to the end of our Big 6 research process lesson. Just as a reminder, my name is Miss Anderson, and as your school librarian, it felt appropriate to go over how to go about conducting our research. So if we went through the blend space assignment or lesson as I had instructed, we would have already completed our pre-lesson assessment or pre-assessment for the Big 6 lesson. And we would have watched the two Big 6 videos linked in the lesson. And if you haven't watched those already, I really do recommend it because both of them really kind of break down the process of the Big 6 and talk about the 6 steps and why they're important to this research process. So just going back to our lesson purpose, a quick review. So the purpose of this lesson was to explore how we can make the research process less intimidating using the Big 6 research model. And again, I used this jumbled puzzle piece image to really emphasize this intimidating nature of the research process. But the thing is, when we take the Big 6, and I hope this is something that we all picked up from the videos, we can almost make it a step-by-step process, the research process that is. We can almost make it this step-by-step thing that we can check off a box each time we complete. So I want to turn our attention over to a handout, and this is going to be a summary of the Big 6 research process, along with some additional resources that I feel y'all can use to help y'all through your research process. Let me click over to that. So the Big 6 research process, this handout here labels each of the 6 steps and really just condenses it to a sentence that we can use to guide us through. So step 1, task definition, defining our task. And that one pretty much speaks for itself. So the first step in the Big 6 research process is to analyze your assignment and task to determine what information you will need to search for. So once we know what we're searching for, the quest for knowledge inherently becomes a little bit easier. If we don't know what we're searching for, well, then we don't know what to put into our search engine, or we don't even really know what we want. But as soon as we can label what we want, we can start moving through that task of locating information. So then the next is information seeking strategies. So think about the different sources you can use for your assignment or task and choose the sources that are most relevant to your task. What do we mean by different sources and how they are relevant to a task? Well, if you're doing a history research project, primary sources can be very helpful. Interviews, surviving documents. But if we're doing a research project for one of our science classes, then maybe we need peer-reviewed medical journals where we have established research and established patterns. So think about how your sources are relevant to your task, or how your task then determines which sources are going to be most relevant. Then we are going to locate and access. So locate the sources you will need either physically, so books, magazines, anything of that nature, or electronically, such as databases, web page, medical journals, research journals, and begin your quest for information. Then use your information. So begin the process of interacting with the source. Read, annotate, quote, cite. So I put cite in all caps because we do want to avoid plagiarism. So when we find information, we want to make sure we're citing that information, giving credit to the proper sources. We can also summarize, make bullet points, notes. That's what I mean by annotate whenever we begin the process of interacting with our sources. Then we need to synthesize. So we need to begin the process of putting our information into a final product that demonstrates your learning or goes back to your assignment or task at hand. So now that we've located our information and we've read it and we've interacted with it, now we need to relay that information to others or use it to our advantage in our final product. And then lastly, we need to evaluate. So assess your final product and the steps you took to reach it. This means don't look just at the product itself. Think about your research process. Think back through the steps of the Big 6 research process and think, did you go the best way about finding or locating your information? So some additional resources. The Big 6 website itself, so the big6.org, is a wonderful website to learn more information about the Big 6. And this website itself has some very helpful links. Defining information literacy. This is an additional YouTube video on top of the Big 6 videos that I included in the blend space to really just talk about information literacy, why it's important that we know how to analyze our sources and pull information that is relevant to us, why that is even a skill we need. Then we have a research checklist, and like I said, from the Big 6 website. So here, this is a checklist that you can use to evaluate the steps you went through in the Big 6 to make sure that you are really taking your time to use this process. Then we have the source evaluation from the Big 6. So here, are your sources relevant? And really, are they credible? Are they reliable? Are they what you need to be using for your task or for your assignment? And then lastly, we have an infographic from Eugene Ashley High School. And really, this is just an additional resource to what I have provided you. But here they have an infographic for the Big 6 research process along with some steps to follow with it, and an overview of the Big 6 process. So really, this is just a different format of what I've already created for you here. And I put our two puzzle pieces images back here in our handout because I really do want to emphasize that with the Big 6, we're taking this jumbled puzzle and we're piecing it together to figure out what we need at the end of our research process. And so really, going over this handout took us through the steps of Big 6. So again, we have step 1, task definition, step 2, information seeking strategies, step 3, location and access, step 4, use of information, step 5, synthesis, and step 6, evaluation. So in conclusion, the Big 6 research process can be used to help organize our thoughts entering the research process, evaluate the sources we choose to use, pick out relevant information, and present our findings in a way that best suits our needs. And really, this Big 6 research process is something that we can take and apply to any research process that we need, not just now in school, but anytime you have to conduct research, whether that be in college or the profession you choose to enter. These skills aren't just something that you take and use only for one assignment. They're something that you get to carry with you and hopefully keep as information literacy skills. So thank you for tuning into this lesson. I definitely hope you've taken something away from the Big 6 research process. And definitely reach out to me if you have any questions.